Hey guys, All in Crypto here, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for what is going to be a jam-packed daily cryptocurrency market update. For those of you that are new around here, every single day at 1 p.m. we release a daily cryptocurrency market update where we don't just look at the cryptocurrency market, but the markets around it and try and work out and navigate the direction we think Bitcoin crypto is heading in relation to everything going on externally. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing in this video. We're going to be looking at a bombshell dropped by Trump, ex-President Trump, talking about the US dollar. Now, this is keeping on to really the theme we started the week off with, and that is the fact that the US dollar is done for. And Trump himself, somebody who is a patriot and of course loves the US, is even admitting defeat on the US dollar front. And this is at a time where, and I've previously shown all these charts, it took 215 years for the US to get to 7 trillion in debt. They did the same thing in 2 years. It really is the end of the road for the US dollar. And actually, we're seeing BRICS gain record support with a record number of applications. And actually, there was a clip of President or the Chinese president and Putin talking about how we're bringing in change for the first time in 100 years. And this is the change that they're talking about, moving away from the dollar. The dollar has shown a lot of weaknesses. And actually, we've spoken about how we believe Bilaji is right in what he's saying. I just think there's no way you can put a 90-day time period on that. You'd have to be or have some sort of clairvoyant powers. But actually, one reason I think Bilaji's right is because SVB, although they were overly risk adverse, is a microcosm of the entire banking system. And actually, you can see here, this is top US banks by uninsured deposits. And you've got the likes of BNY Mellon, who are only slightly below Silicon Valley Bank. You've got State Street Bank, and then actually you've got Signature Bank, which already went bust. I think Signature Bank, or it might be First Republic, was actually the 14th largest bank in America. And you can see all these, Citibank, slightly lower than these, but the entire banking system is fragile. And I think just like Jamie Dimon was saying, and we were looking at those comments yesterday, the banking system is still in a lot of trouble. And actually this is fueling Bitcoin. I want to talk technically about Bitcoin because this is the journey that we ultimately think Bitcoin's on. We accumulated crypto at the start of the year. If you guys want to find out what I'm buying, where I'm buying, my sort of one-to-one interactions with myself, feel free to join the Patreon. We do weekly meetings. For me, it is probably one of, if not the best crypto community out there in terms of, a kind of overall package. And we really have killed this market, not only getting everyone out of the market last year, but entering the market at the start of the year, which has proven to be the right decision thus far. And I think there's a lot more upside to come. We entered one of our first swing trades yesterday of the year, so hopefully, fingers crossed, that does well. But yeah, so that's enough of the sort of selfless plugging. Ultimately, this is the direction we think Bitcoin's on, and it's got a bit tired, to say the least. We have looked at the fact that maybe Bitcoin's just following gold and is yet to sort of pop out. I do think that's a scenario. But sometimes with price action, you need to do something like this in order to take the upside. You need to kind of build that momentum back up, having ran into a key level of resistance. And this is a key level of resistance. Not only is it resistance in terms of price action and how you are now back at this kind of area here where you can see a build up of price action, but also you got your fib level, your 0236 that you're consolidating around. But I do think you're going to push on higher. We've got only really, today we've got the US initial jobless claims, but tomorrow we've got the big one, which is the US non-farm. I think that's going to weaken the dollar. And anyway, we'll look at the technicals, but let's get into the bombshell from Trump, and then let's move on with the video.
Our currency is crashing and will soon no longer be the world standard, which will be our greatest defeat, frankly, in 200 years. There will be no defeat like that. That will take us away from being even a great power. Our currency is crashing and will soon no longer be the world standard, which will be our greatest defeat, frankly, in 200 years. There will be no defeat like that. that will take us away from being even a great power.
And the real scary thing, I think, with the currency side of things is, well, that also includes them dumping bonds and the entire bedrock. If you look at the banking system, and I think this is largely what the yield curve is predicting, just to pull the yield curve up. What on earth is going on here? I think this is largely what the yield curve is predicting, is essentially the kind of failing bank failings, basically, like it predicted 2008. I think you're going to have a similar repeat, and actually I think it has a lot to do with people dumping the US dollar and subsequently dumping the bonds that back that dollar. And your problem you've got is, and we saw it with the gilt market in the UK, is when you dump the bonds, the government has to step in and inflate. And this is why I think Bilagi's correct, because they have to buy the bond market, otherwise your pensions go bust, your life insurances go bust. We looked at life insurances, and certainly your banks go bust. And as we looked at a comment from Lynn Alden yesterday as well. She said actually most banks, if they had multi-billion-dollar or even billion-dollar withdrawals, they would be in a similar situation to Silicon Valley Bank. And this kind of shows the fragility of everything, certainly in the United States. So Trump saying this is interesting. We have played clips of President Xi from China talking with Putin, saying that ultimately, we're bringing around the first significant change in regards to currency in 100 years, and we're doing it together, and this is what they're talking about. And actually, if you were somebody that was at the behest of the dollar, you would dump it too. We're trying to dump dollars, and I think that you need to be as safe as possible in that kind of a system. This is a tweet from the market sniper Francis Hunt. Make a macro oil to drop 35 to 40% call, and watch how many folk come at you 3 days later and say oil is up. Come back in 3 to 4 months' time when demand is roaring. There is no need to cut. Also, gas and uranium don't. So basically, we're looking at Morgan Stanley cuts oil price forecast after OPEC decision. And they're saying that the reason for this is not just because they want to up the price, but because they think that the demand isn't going to be there for it. And oil is kind of very central to the macro. So I think you're going to have inflation is going to continue to go down. This is going to support the macro upside. We think the Fed's done, and the Fed raising rates is what's driven markets because of the bearing effect it has on liquidity. Ultimately, that's came to an end, in my opinion, based on the 2-year yields. And the markets are going to appreciate from that. In the same way they front-run rate hikes, they're going to front-run rate cuts. And I do think you're going to complete this 5-wave. Remember, your altcoins still aren't as far ahead. I'll jump into the Binance news in just a second, but I'll finish off with a little bit of technicals before we get into there. I think at this point, you're just stalling. You may need to come down and grab some liquidity before you get that upside. But ultimately, guys, and this is not financial advice, load up on crypto whilst you can. Lots of people are still calling for lower lows. Maybe you get them in some sort of a demand destructive event. Maybe not. But what you can't, people have been wrong, right? It doesn't mean that they in time can't come right. But Bitcoin's up 80%. Some altcoins are up hundreds of percent. You've missed out on a massive opportunity and missed a key part of the markets. We haven't, because we observe them daily and ultimately are active investors. I think Bitcoin's just stalling, but ultimately, this head and shoulders target gives you that 35k and you're just stalling at a key level. You're stalling at the point where you want to stall. This is healthy. Ultimately, you're going to set up for more upside. That's my opinion. Market's lackluster, probably waiting for data tomorrow. We'll see what happens with the data tomorrow. The dollar is, I think, at risk of putting on a new low. Once you run this, you're looking for more downside. The only thing that spikes the dollar is fear, okay? And I think you've got certain yield inversions that are still putting in new lows before that actually takes place. To move on to the Binance news, Jane Street, Tower Research, and Radix are Binance's VIP clients in the CFTC suit. So the Binance has come under heavy restraints from the CFTC. They've come under heavy restraints from the US government, the senators, everyone. Binance have a massive target on their back. And I'd like to see Binance come out winning because I like CZ, I like Binance. You always get such hypocritical comments saying, oh, you're backing centralization. I've got news for you. 99% of people in crypto wouldn't be here if it wasn't for centralized exchanges allowing you to buy that crypto. It's a mic drop moment right there, yeah. Binance, crypto firm, need to be supervisable, warns ECB board member. And then we got Binance Australia's derivatives license cancelled by regulators. So we're still, unfortunately, in this grey area. I think regulations are the very thing that propel this industry into the multi-trillions, 10 trillion plus, and that will come. I think the US is just trying very hard to work it in their favour and ultimately take out the competition before they put their own insiders in there. And I do believe that FTX was a massive Trojan horse. So looking ahead for this week, look out for the US initial jobless claims, and the big one, of course, is tomorrow, which is the non-farm payroll. We'll keep you up to date on this channel. If you've enjoyed the content, a like is always appreciated, so is a comment, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks a lot for watching, ladies and gentlemen. See you in the next.